I want to teach you a trick that is going to help you to win every debate on any topic with anyone. Wait until your opponent finishes presenting his position and then answer with a deep sigh. If only it was so simple. The reality is, though, that the question is much more complicated. And that's it. You don't even need to state your point of view. You don't need to find any errors in the logic of another person. You cannot be refuted because there's nothing to refute. You didn't say anything. Our society is trained to think that a more complex thought is always more reasonable, and a simpler one is primitive. You automatically put yourself above your opponent, and you don't even need to argue with him. The second trick I can teach you is even simpler. Practice beforehand speaking with a philosophical tone of voice. And when you hear an idea that you don't like, all you have to do is to say thoughtfully, in reality, there is no one correct answer to this question. And no one really knows what the truth is. You didn't even need to say that your opponent is wrong, and therefore you don't need to prove anything. You just said that nobody knows what the answer is. Therefore, if he is continuing to claim to have an answer, it is only because he is lacking the sophistication of your approach. So, if he is continuing to insist on his idea, he will feel like a fool. This ploy is successfully used, for example, when the enemies of Israel are debating about Israel's security. When you accuse the Arab terrorists of murdering innocent people, they answer, "This is a complex question. You need to understand both sides. There is no one correct answer. So if you are simply condemning the murderers, it is only because you don't see the entire picture. Their victory is that a doubting listener will never even try to find an answer after that. The answer doesn't exist." This is also what is happening during every discussion between a believer and a non-believer. Whatever the believer says, the non-believer simply responds, "No one really knows the answer to this question." And that's all. He doesn't even need to argue or prove anything. And he already made himself look smarter than you. When people use these manipulations in their debates with adults, it is sad. But the real tragedy is that we often inadvertently do the same thing when we are talking to our children. When our kids ask about the essential questions of existence, what is the purpose of our lives? Is there justice in the world? Is there absolute truth? Was this world created by someone? What is a soul? What do we answer? Do we have a clear response? Or do we say with a philosophical tone of voice, in reality, there is no right and wrong answers to these questions? I understand that we often do this because we are afraid to look stupid, or because we don't know the answers ourselves. But as a result, we discourage our child to ever seek answers to these questions. Why should they look for answers if we just told them they don't exist? And if your child will say that he found an answer, your words will make him look stupid. We ourselves are confused about these questions very often, and we educate the next generation, discouraging them to even seek answers to these questions. Maybe this is why so many people in the modern world no longer even try to determine for themselves the answer to the most important questions concerning their existence.